We are live. Good to see you today, my EOS Podcast friends. Welcome to the EOS Podcast, home of the Mr. Happy Money Proxy. Today we have an amazing show. We have Ben Sigman from Sense.Chat and shEOS. So much going on with both those projects right now, so we're going to get into all of that. Ben, welcome to the show, and go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. Thanks for having me, Brendan. Hey, everybody. Ben Sigman here. I'm the CTO of shEOS and also Sense.Chat, which is an EOS-based chat application that just launched 2 weeks ago, and I'm really excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Killer. Well, thank you for being here. I'm pumped to dig into Sense.Chat, and I went through all the things that shEOS did this year as a block producer, and that's pretty impressive as well. So we'll get into all that. How we start the show is, Ben, what do you think the most interesting thing going on in all of EOS right now is?
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing is sort of, well, honestly, I think that the upcoming constitution changes are very interesting.
Yeah.
The EUA is picking up a lot of steam, and I think it's a really interesting solution to the problem that we're having related to governance in EOS and really empowering block producers who seem to be the ones that actually, care the most about the network and about voting and have the most to sort of lose and gain from being able to pull this story together, because it hasn't been a great story of EOS governance so far.
Yeah, governance is so funny because when we were initially doing this, I remember thinking, oh, cool, everyone's going to be interested in what happens to the chain and everyone's going to want to vote and try to push the chain in a direction. And then it turns out like no one cares. They're just happy it's working. And so the block producers end up with the people who actually care this in the governance thing. It definitely caught me by surprise, shook my paradigm a little bit, but that makes sense. I think that, governance is a lot. I do EOS all day, and I still give governance kind of just a brief overview. There's so much there. It's amazing.
And I actually believe that what we're doing in EOS is going to be really impactful in the future of how people think about decentralized governance.
Mm-hmm.
And what the developments that are happening with the EOS DAO, because I also do some work with the EOS Alliance / becoming EOS DAO, and the direction that's going to have the first nonprofit that's going to have complete on-chain governance and also have a corporate nonprofit entity that is tied to it is just a really interesting sort of experiment. There's lots of experiments, but this one I think is also going to set some ground for all kinds of future nonprofits to operate in a more transparent and responsible way.
Yeah, nonprofits are one of those places that lose so much money along the way just through inefficiency, and it's a beautiful place to change the globe a little bit, because that's one of those things that everyone loves to be a part of nonprofits and help and donate to them, but there's so much bloat that to figure that out is this direct line to kind of change the world. That's pretty rad.
Yeah. I also just want to say that one of the most exciting things I think is happening in EOS is Sense.Chat.
Yeah, for sure.
Because first time, really, I feel like my EOS account has come alive. People are able to write me on my EOS account, and we can chat with our accounts, and it makes the account feel so much more robust than just a name that can transact.
Mm-hmm. I just started playing with WhatsApp, or not WhatsApp, man, how am I forgetting this? But the Chinese app that basically everything is built on in China. But you can WeChat. Thank you. That's how much time I spend in EOS. I can't even remember WeChat. But in WeChat, it's like you're chatting, you're sending money, and it's this alive thing. It's like you're in this ecosystem, and it gives this feeling of human interaction like it would be more if you were in person. Like you can hand someone money, you can send them a message, you can buy movie tickets, you can do all these things. And that's kind of this step that Sense.Chat's taken where, like you're saying, now there's life within your EOS account. It's not just some random number and weird transactions going through.
Well, it's funny. I was using WeChat a lot to talk to our Chinese homies in EOS and even the Chinese community manager that we have in shEOS, and my WeChat account got blocked for some reason due to some strange activity. Maybe someone was trying to hack my account, but because it's tied to my phone number, someone could find the account and then try to log in multiple times by like sending me messages or, having text messages come to me and trying to intercept them and all kinds of things. But my account's been totally blocked for months now. I've tried to work with several people to get it restored because you have to have someone who's been in contact for 6 months. There's all these rules about it. Anyway, I'm still locked out of it. And it's just, I don't know why I'm locked out, but I can't even get it back online. I mean, I'm a very technical person, very capable, but it's very complicated to try to recover my account on there and get back online when I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't lose my password or my key or do anything suspicious on there personally. I think someone else was trying to get into my account, and then that caused my account to be locked somehow.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's kind of a nice little thing to think about. Sense.Chat, safely chat, transact with your friends and family, where you have control. It's that's the whole point, right? Is that
that could never happen to you on Sense.Chat.
Yeah,
we are never going to block someone from being able to log in at all and access their tokens or their contacts. Like, that's just not part of the platform at all.
Yeah.
And also, you can't be attacked based on your phone number. Even though we do have an SMS authentication to verify that you're a real person so that we can't get gamed by people just running scripts on us, that number is not tied to your account anyway. It can't be used to recover it or try to attack it, to reset passwords or anything like that.
Yeah. So it also has video chat as well. Is that something that's active currently? Is that something that's on the roadmap, or what's that look like?
Totally active. The video chat is alive and working on a one-to-one call basis. That's totally peer-to-peer. So it's really, really interesting, actually, the way it works. It's an encrypted video messenger for one-to-one conversations right now. And we're looking into building that out more, depending on sort of a match between what users want and what we have in mind for the platform. Where those two things match up, where the most users want what we also agree with, we build that thing. If someone was like, I want you to build, a store to sell plants, well, that probably doesn't align with our roadmap. But if it did, then we would prioritize building that thing. So we're kind of co-creating with the users. So if you're a user Sense.Chat already, you can get on there and give feedback. You can vote right in the app on features. And we actually take that into a very strong consideration into what we're building. So we're co-creating it with the users that we have now. And the product is evolving at a really fast rate. And we're really excited about it.
That's killer. So what's kind of the most used feature right now? What are people enjoying the most?
The most used feature is just just sending messages back and forth to EOS accounts. And then the second thing is doing video calls. But if you look on here, it's like you can vote for these features in the app. There's a button in here that says request a feature. Group chat has 359 votes. So you can go in here and vote on the features. And then finding people is got 180 votes. So, people want to be able to use the app to socialize. And we really conceptualize this as more of a private messenger that had security features to enable people to transact and send messages using their EOS keys. But, sort of what we're learning a lot from the community members that we have is what they really want is Telegram using their EOS account.
Yeah. I mean, Telegram is like what everyone in the States is on, at least using EOS. So that makes sense for sure.
Really makes sense.
That makes sense. .chat. And shEOS has been up to so much as well. This is a shEOS project. How is Sense.Chat affiliated with shEOS? Is it?
It's actually not. I mean, I'll tell you how it is affiliated. Is that Crystal and I work on both projects.
Okay.
And I was really friendly with Crystal before shEOS, but we had not worked together. And when we started working together on shEOS last year, we just really, I just really found that I really respected her a lot. And she's so hardworking and she's so smart and she's so positive and every obstacle is an opportunity. And I was like, I just think she's a really great person, a really great entrepreneur. And I started off as an advisor at Sense.Chat. And that just grew to my involvement becoming more and more until I became the CTO, essentially. And she asked me to come on and help out. And I was so excited and honored to come and work on this product because it aligned with so many of my interests. I mean, I have a lot of strong opinions about app and product. I have experience building mobile apps. I love chat applications and I use them like religiously. I mean, most of my phone usage is in chat apps, for the past year, especially with all the EOS stuff going on. Telegram became my gateway to the internet. I was using that more than Reddit and browsers, which was kind of like a flip-flop from where I was the year before.
Yeah. So what are some of your kind of like strong opinions as far as chat apps, how they should function? Is it mostly centered around being able to safely chat and transact? It's like security?
Well, I think that first and foremost, we, as citizens of the internet, we have the right to be in control of our own messages and our own data, and that data is valuable and we should understand that it's valuable, and that we're valuable, and that the services that exist now are brokering that data to earn. And in exchange, they give us a free service. But I think that there's other ways to be able to monetize in an application. And so we have a lot of ideas around how this is going to work, but we're experimenting with a lot of these ways coming up in the next few months here. But I'll comment on your question really quickly, which is, how do I think that chat should be different? And I think we look at the evolution of chat and how it came about, it's really sort of like a tool of how we communicate and collaborate online and how we gather digitally. So that started off with like bulletin board systems, which kind of became forums. And then eventually forums were replaced by Reddit. And Reddit has a really great way of separating signal from noise. It's kind of like one of the originators of figuring out how to do this. It's a very low cost platform to get into because it's free. You can get into Reddit and be posting content immediately, so there's a low cost of failure. But then they've come up with a really great system where you can vote things up or down to separate out what's important. And then you can filter based on that and get notifications based on that and everything. And so I'm a little surprised that apps like Telegram and WhatsApp haven't figured out yet how to do this. Because you can react to messages, but that reaction doesn't carry any weight in the system at all. And so one of the things that we're doing is we're tokenizing that weighting of the likes, essentially. So one of the roles of the Sense token will be that when you like what someone has posted, you will use the token to give weight to that message. And that can inform all kinds of filtering and notifications. And when I'm in a Telegram chat now, I see all these people doing +1.
Yeah.
+1 when they agree to something. And they have to actually respond to the message because there's no way to react in Telegram at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been noticing how just there's so much noise in my chats that I'd like to see more tooling around organizing and being able to filter that down better. Like there's chat channels where you can tune into just like Dan and Brendan, because you might be really curious about hearing what these guys have to say over the 1,000 or 10,000 other people in the EOS chat. Right?
Mm-hmm.
How many people are in there? It's like 5,000 or 10,000 people.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit there all day and read every message. I don't know. I'm not.
No.
But I might be curious about what Dan comes in and says because, he might have important updates that I would want to tune into.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, it's things like this that I think are just small improvements that we can that we can use our token for and sort of gamify and also give people the ability to earn off of providing quality content and quality knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is it something where you are transferring tokens? Is it something where the tokens are coming out of like an inflation rate? Have you got into the tokenomics yet about how that'll work?
Yeah, I'm going to actually be publishing something about this soon. And, you know, for you or for anyone that's interested in seeing early drafts, they can reach out to me. We've done a lot of thinking about it, and we've circulated with our advisors, and it's sort of going through our legal department now, but we have a lot of ideas about it. I don't know how much I can say about it now, but we've got exciting uses for the token coming.
Cool.
We do not have any inflation rate built into our tokenomics right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So supply of tokens will only go down.
Cool. Well, I look forward to. I'm definitely going to be interested in that article. See what kind of your initial ideas around the token are. I was a big fan of Steemit, and loved the experiment there. I'm really excited to see what comes out with EOS. So it's the problem that you're looking at solving of basically bringing the good content to the top, so that curating good content with these incentives, like with token incentives, is, if you can make headway or solve that problem, that's just going to be such a game changer. I love that big thought.
I think so too, man. I think it's an iterative process, and, we have ideas about what would work. We have hypotheses, and we're going to need to test those hypotheses and then iterate on them. And I think that our hypotheses are pretty good around it, but it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the next few months.
Yeah, well, I can't wait. That's killer. So the other big thing kind of that stands out to me as far as what you've been working on, what shEOS was working on, is the EOS 21 protocol. So how did your team kind of pick up the torch on that and make that happen? Because everyone was wanting that to happen. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we sort of conceptualized the idea just after the launch of EOS that, there's going to be projects who want to move from Ethereum to EOS, and they're going to need to enable their token holders the choice to move their tokens or do an airdrop. And there's some legal ramifications around airdropping. So if you freeze a token, if you freeze a token contract and then do an airdrop to it on a new chain, there's some lawyers and some companies that may not be able to do that as easily as if they gave their users the choice to move with the platform. So when we kind of conceptualized this, we really thought of Sense as a use case, because at that point in time, Crystal was already talking about how she wanted to move her application development over to EOS. Okay. For a lot of reasons. EOS was faster. There was no transaction fees. It couldn't be crushed by CryptoKitties,
Mm-hmm.
And it had readable account names and account name security and permissions levels and so many great things that are built in at the base layer that just seem inherently better for a chat app.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that makes sense. It's like the practical tool that Crystal herself needed. That's a killer way to push things forward. That's actually the most practical answer you could have, I guess. So how long was she working on Sense.Chat on the ETH platform, and how far along did it get there?
I think Sense.Chat wasn't conceptualized fully until after the launch,
mm-hmm.
but there were other projects that they were working on along the lines of allowing people to monetize on their knowledge. And then Sense.Chat is sort of an evolution of those things. Mm-hmm. And I still believe that's going to be a core part of what we're building, is allowing people to monetize their knowledge and information by gating content that they might be sharing with people as answers to questions in the app, where you can charge some amount of tokens to be able to give access to any person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's a great tool that I thought was a great tool that didn't take off necessarily was that earn, I think it was called earn or .com or something like that, but where you could have access to you pay some certain amount of Bitcoin, and then, you know, you can actually email someone and get a response from them.
I think it's tough because the way Earn approached it, well, I don't know how much the demand was for someone to reach out for you and extract information from you for a price, but when you offer up information and then it gets verified by other people that it's good, then other people might be more willing to pay for that content.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I wanted to know how to draw a chestahedron, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn how to draw a chestahedron in 5 seconds, and you knew how to draw a chestahedron in 5 seconds, and then you did an instructional video on how to do that, then if other people were paying you to view the video and then also rating that and voting on it as being good, then I would be more likely to watch your video for that, or whatever knowledge you had to teach me about.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one of the things that we've been discussing is, how will people choose to use Sense.Chat? We're going to provide tools to build channels. You know, if you've used the app now, you've noticed that there are some public channels in there now. And in the future, we're going to open it up so that people can build their own channels. And the way we view a channel is almost like a domain.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so you'll purchase the right to use that domain, and then you'll have a lot of tools that are provided by us to build on it, to gate access to content. And it'll be open to the users to use their imagination to build either monetization or growth tools around growing their communities and encouraging really great conversations.
Oh, that's a really interesting take, because you think of these Telegram channels that people build, you know, that have 1,000 people in it, and they've kind of curated this ongoing conversation, but there's no way to necessarily directly kind of benefit or extract value from that, or, you know, or be compensated for the value that those Telegram people are what they're adding to the ecosystem. So that's a really cool, different way to think about it. I like that. I like that a lot. So you're kind of thinking like a Telegram / Reddit type of, and it sounds like even a little bit of Steemit type of integration. Anything else that you're like, any tools and other apps that you're looking at that make sense to you?
I think overall, you know, what we're looking to do is to build something unique. And we're building something that's different, you know, and we're not trying to play the game of beat other chat applications at straight chat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what we want to do is beat them at games they can't even play. Mm-hmm. And that involves, how do we really leverage crypto? How do we leverage blockchain? How do we leverage EOS to do something really different? And these are all ideas that we're going to be testing out over the next few months and throwing out there to our community of users and token holders to really see what they can create with what we give them.
Yeah. I mean, and the idea of, I really like how you're kind of crowdsourcing the users' ideas with letting them suggest features and vote. I mean, that's huge. I haven't seen that necessarily I probably haven't been early enough on chat apps to see that kind of thing, but
I haven't seen it either, honestly.
Yeah.
I have many apps that really allow this level of voting on what's going to be potentially built and really give a voice to people. I mean, one of our main goals is to align the incentives of the platform with the users, right? So the question is kind of like, you know, instead of profiting from people's data and selling that data to advertisers, you know, how can we all grow and profit together? Like, one of my goals personally with Sense.Chat is, how do we give people the opportunity to earn off of their knowledge? How do we give them the opportunity to create a marketplace for NFTs and for information that they're providing to people, or even just quality chat environments that are that are well moderated and well organized, like there's so much value to be created there and also rewarded for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then if we can accomplish that, then we can earn together, you know?
Yeah, it's this common theme in crypto in general, is this idea that as humans, we're adding all this value to the world that we, for a long time, weren't even aware, as far as on the internet, that we were adding. You know, we're adding all this value to Facebook, all this value through Google, all this value all over the place. And we were just thinking, oh, well, you know, or not even noticing we were adding value, just thinking, oh, this is nice, they're doing this for free. I think now people are starting to open their eyes and go, oh my gosh, like we are adding all this value. This is our thoughts. These are our ideas and our, you know, our way to be a part of a community. And there's that value being given directly to the person who's adding it is a beautiful thing, you know, especially with how much people are spending, how much of people's lives are spent within the internet now, or online at least, you know. So yeah, it's just a cool idea. If you think back on, this is a quick idea here, but if you think back to people back in the day, they had this property and they're going around like tinkering on their property, farming and, you know, talking to their neighbors and trading vegetables and shit. And all this they're adding value within their little ecosystem, but they were being rewarded from it. It's this peer-to-peer idea. And now maybe we're kind of going back to that, where our property is our property. And when we add value to it, we get something in return. I think that's a cool, big idea. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, well, yeah. So right now, Sense.Chat is chat, video, and being able to send EOS through the wallet.
And Sense tokens.
And Sense tokens. That's killer. And what do you think? Is there anything going on right now? And if that's right now, what's the future look like?
Well, I think I've talked about the future a little bit, but you know, the next big thing for us is to really allow people to create their own channels,
cool.
You know, create their own group chats, and then really empower those people who are creators and community leaders to grow the app and grow their own communities in the app.
Yeah, this is a killer project, and just the amount of different directions it could go, especially with all the community feedback. It's going to be really fun to kind of watch it develop.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to understand that, like, we're not pretending to have all the answers. We can build a really quality user experience and really secure messaging app. But, you know, in terms of the way that the product evolves, we're really interested in what users want to do with it. We've gotten such great engagement from the EOS community so far. We're so thankful to you guys for doing interviews and making videos and sharing the app with people. You know, it's been really incredible. We're getting a lot of downloads and a lot of daily activity on it. And I think that when we enable more on-chain activity, like, we have the potential to be the biggest app in blockchain entirely.
That's a beautiful thing. I love it. And start to get that network effect too, especially since it's, you know, it can grow with EOS as users come into EOS and Sense.Chat. You know, if it's a kind of the EOS chat app, then, you know, that network effect starts to take effect. So that's exciting to think about for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the big things that we're looking at right now is how do we get our public channels that we have now to be on chain. Then it can be even digested by other apps and websites, so that other people could even view it and interact with it in different ways. It could be like an open data of the messages that are sent on there. You know, one of the big challenges we have is that our messages take up about 2 kilobytes of RAM each. So it would become cost prohibitive for any user to be paying 4 cents per message to store them on chain. And that's why we're looking into things like the DApp layer. We're actively testing right now internally, because we have our own internal testnet app where we're doing on-chain messaging and also voting, that we're experimenting with the best ways to build these features that we have in our roadmap and deliver them in a really quality, great way that's still going to be low cost to the users or free. Yeah.
What information aside from, I guess, the EOS and Sense.Chat needs to be on chain?
Well, I don't know if any of it needs to be on chain, but one thing that we want to do is for the channels that we run, the channels that we've created now, we want to create an on-chain record of all of those messages. Because in a public chat, in a public channel, there's no expectation of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's known that anyone can join the channel and view it. And so we would like to see that those messages go onto an on-chain record.
Mm-hmm. That is, I mean, that's like, that's one of the things that people loved about Steemit was this idea of putting things down on the blockchain, you know, putting a written history of what has happened or what people's thoughts at the time were and how those evolved.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I think we're definitely very inspired by Steemit. Mm-hmm. I guess I am personally really inspired by Steemit. I think Steemit has done such a great job of being, in my experience, like a very low troll-y platform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know exactly why that is, but when I read Steemit articles and I see the comments, I just don't see a lot of troll-y anger, and you know, it's mostly like really positive comments, commentary, and positive articles that I read on Steemit.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It was like almost that monetary incentive or even penalty, that threat, even if it was a small penalty, was enough for people just to realize that, like, you know, there's consequences to what we say and do online, and just that little bit of disincentive or incentive to like act like a real human and treat people nicely was what went so far. That was kind of a weird phenomenon on there for sure. But yeah, it was fun. Everyone's all friendly and a lot of friendliness, a lot of cool comments, a lot of really quality discussion, a lot of intellectual people on there. Yeah, it's a cool platform for sure.
It's cool, and it's so different from Reddit in that way. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's just really interesting to look at how different platforms cultivate different communities and different levels of engagement. And you know, we definitely see ourselves as a place where we want to continue that legacy of, you know, positivity and just opportunity for people to build and earn,
mm-hmm.
you know, in a really collaborative environment.
You know, that's another kind of bigger picture thought when you say the positivity, because when humans engage, when I see people from EOS at conferences, or I see, like, you know, let's say I see like like an ETH maximalist or something at a conference, and me and them talk, it's civil. We like each other. We share some ideas. We like could disagree civilly on points, but we're like friends. I'd have a beer with them. We'll hang out. Like, mm-hmm. But you come across someone like that online in a Reddit forum, and they might just say the most outrageous things in the entire world. So that's another thing where blockchain is hopefully going to enable more of this human to human interaction where people have, and I don't know if it's just because there's some sort of, I don't know. I'm not sure what the phenomenon is, but in Steemit, like, people treated each other like almost more like they would in person, and that was a big thing. That's cool.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's really interesting. I think Steemit has done a really great job, and that's why at Sense we're really inspired by Steemit, and we're taking some lessons that we learned from what we see happening in Steemit and applying that to our thought process.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that was I mean, they taught so many, that platform taught so many lessons. They were kind of like that first platform. Here's like a bunch of things that work, and here's a bunch of things that don't work. Now, like, go build something better, please. You know, so yeah, that's cool. It's very cool. So we've covered Sense.Chat pretty thoroughly. If anything comes up, it pops up in your mind, feel free to jump back into Sense.Chat. But let's transition a little bit into shEOS.
I got my shEOS pin on right here.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Yep. And you've got the chestahedron, and I wanted to give a shout out to Virtual Growth. I've seen him also
Oh yeah.
sporting that. So I know VG. So I know that those aren't they aren't common. Like you said, they're for EOS OGs. So cool to see.
Okay, what's up?
Yeah. So yeah, shEOS, the EOS 21 protocol, of course, which is big, so that ETH projects can port over to EOS.
Yeah,
Have you?
so we're
Yeah,
actually we're using that right now to allow our token holders to move at Sense. So
cool.
you can go to sensetoken.com and see the front end built around it, and you can click on the advanced instructions to see exactly how the contract actions behind that GUI are working. And it's really cool. I mean, basically it allows you to, we're calling it a teleport, because you, as the token holder, control the tokens on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
You choose to send them through a black hole from ETH to your EOS account. And as part of that, we give a bonus tokens, which is an option of the protocol. And we've gotten a lot of interest from other projects now. So, I have to put my shEOS hat on sometimes and, help out other projects that are looking to use EOS 21 and even build upon it. So what's really cool about open source is just that other people can take what you have built as a foundation for building other things.
Yeah.
And so I'm really glad that the girls agreed to build that with me, and also Alessandro, who's one of the main developers that worked on it with me, building EOS 21. Man, big shout out to him, because I don't think he gets enough credit.
Well, a lot of developers don't get enough credit. They're busy building and not raising their hand up for credit. So yeah, shout out to did you say Alessandro?
Alessandro, yeah.
Alessandro, yeah, shout out. And I went and saw the GUI. I mean, it's beautiful. You type in how many ETH tokens or how many tokens you have, and it populates how many tokens you'll get. So yeah, very, very cool.
Yeah, and we're going to contribute more code to it ourselves, because we've learned a lot about it and it's kind of evolved. So we're going to merge a bunch of our stuff back in to EOS 21. And overall, I mean, I get hit up a couple times a week now about how people are interested in enabling ways to move tokens from ETH to EOS. So it's very interesting.
That's cool. That's good to hear. There's a lot of activity. And is it people wanting to move tokens, or is there a lot of projects contacting you guys?
Everything, man. It's exchanges and people who just think they can move any token, and projects. Obviously this requires the project to opt in first to having tokens moved. This is not a protocol for just anyone to just move tokens when they feel like it.
Yeah. That's killer. That's a killer tool that's going to be hopefully used. I like seeing I love seeing when big projects move from other blockchains over to EOS. It just, it's a little bit of an affirmation that there's good tools going on over here. We just had Effect AI move over, which was cool. I had another project contact me today or yesterday maybe, but they're moving over in the end of April, and they're a big project. So they're still in stealth as far as their move goes. But yeah.
EOS Finex today came out.
Yes, and EOS Finex came out. That's exciting.
Bitfinex built on EOS.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's talk about the other things that shEOS is up to. We've got the shEOS Foundation as well, which is scholarships, or they're basically taking some of the block rewards for scholarships for young women in tech education.
Yeah, definitely. It was one of the things that I'm most excited about in terms of what shEOS is building, is the real legacy that we have the opportunity to leave behind in terms of sharing the block rewards that we get, which are generated from the inflation on EOS, and using that to fund education for women in technology.
That's great.
It basically is one of the things that originally really drew me to EOS, was the thought of how block producers were going to be earning block rewards in all of these places all over the world, and then distributing that in ways that they saw fit to support projects in their communities, and also being able to use at the time what looked like was going to be WPS, the work proposal system, to also distribute and support projects around the world.
Mm-hmm. How's that? How have your scholarships been going? Have you guys have you started handing them out yet? Are you taking applications, or where's the process at?
I am not super involved with what the foundation does day to day, but I know that what they've announced so far is that we have partnerships with a couple institutions, including Kingsland Academy, to provide scholarships to those, and that the women who are in Spain are actively working on this right now. And I would expect some updates very soon regarding the first round of scholarships.
Killer. Well, that's really exciting. It's so cool to see just something in the like that that has such a real world positive effect be born out of EOS and out of the shEOS block producer. It's a cool use of, like you said, it's this inflation that is going and making real things happen in the world. That's freaking killer. Love it.
I mean, I think whether you're a block producer or a person, what we all get to think about is, how am I being additive? How am I being part of the solution? And how am I being extractive? And how am I being a consumer? And there's a balance there where I always like to feel like I'm more of a net positive. And I think shEOS has that mission too. And there's some other really good block producers out there that are also just being a contribution to themselves and to society and to EOS, and really using that block producer role to be a leader in the world, and be giving and supporting community movements, supporting open source projects, and supporting governance, and just providing support to companies that want to build on EOS. And there's so much good happening, but not all block producers are that way. So I really encourage people to think about how they vote with their tokens. It seems like there's some voters who aren't really considering long-term benefits of the network. And it's difficult for us to think about long-term benefits. Like, why should I go to the gym when it feels better to eat a chocolate bar? Right? But I think that we're just getting better at this as we evolve as humans, and that it's kind of like something that's happening around the world, like awakening to thinking about the long-term effects that we have on the environment, thinking about the long-term effects we have on our country and our family and our bodies. It's very interesting. And also it's the same thing with block producers. Block producers, we really have to think about what are our long-term effects on the network, the choices that we make in governance, the choice that we make of what to do with our block rewards, and how we're being self-serving versus how we're being serving to the community. Because servant leadership, I believe, is the highest form of leadership. We're not leaders should not be at the top of the pyramid looking down. They should be on the bottom of the pyramid holding everyone up. And the more that we can do to support people and encourage them, and add, just the word that comes to my mind, to be positive and to be looking for opportunities to support people that are doing good things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a soundbite you should probably go back and cut from this YouTube and put it on your channel, because that was a fantastic take on what it means to be a block producer in the bigger picture. It's such an important point, because we've, as humans, we've got kind of this mindset that we used to need to use for survival, this kind of more short-term, we're programmed for these short-term needs and to fulfill these short-term needs. But the way the world is now, we don't have to necessarily think just one day ahead. We can think longer term. We can think about globally and about 50 years down the road, and what things are going to be like and how we want to have the impact. But it's taken our minds time to catch up, but I think you're right that people are starting to have a little bit of a mental shift. The pendulum's starting to swing back the other way a little bit. We're getting to be a little bit bigger picture, a little bit more focused on community and what's happening globally. And yeah, That's a great endorsement for shEOS. I have a proxy, Mr. Happy Money proxy, that I talked about at the end, but I look at empowerment, transparency, and building together. And basically, I'm looking at what block producers are doing big picture as a whole. I mean, that what you said there was my take on what I look for in block producers, because there's a lot of people that vote fully technically for block producers, and I think that's great. We need that, but I also think that there should be a mix of these block producers that are trying to positively impact the world, and that aren't, that are. There's all different approaches, and I mean that approach where with the scholarships and that bigger picture stuff is so cool. So
it is really cool. Well, you know what? You're really cool, and also I just want to take a second to acknowledge you for all the work and effort and positivity that you put out there, Brendan. Like, Happy Money Man, thank you for everything you do, man. You're
appreciate it.
Bright and shining light in this world. So thanks for continuing on, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, and that Happy Money Man, by the way, is a lot of people think it's Money Man, but it's really like it's my equation, like putting happiness, human relationships, like fulfillment, life before money. So like happiness, and then like money and all that follows. And so that's what that name means. So thank you, man. I appreciate it.
And who you are. So
cool. Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you. So shEOS, rad. The foundation's cool. We've got the BP compliance movement. Looks like the top 50 are in compliance. I wasn't familiar with this. So could you tell people what the BP compliance movement was that shEOS is doing?
Yeah, the compliance movement is around the idea of essentially establishing standards around the reg producer agreement that all of the block producers signed when they enacted the reg producer commands. So something that's interesting about EOS is the idea of Ricardian contracts. And a Ricardian contract is a contract that's written in plain English that you sign when you execute a command, or it could be also clicking a button on a website. I hereby agree to these terms that are coded into the command that you're executing. Is when you execute the command, you are signing that Ricardian contract with your signature, your cryptographic signature, which is tied to your account. Block producers sign an agreement called reg producer, and reg producer has certain clauses in it that state very simple things. I will provide an ownership over any owners that are 10% or more. I will have a public website. I will operate a node that allows people to connect, and all of these various clauses. You can read about them, you can look them up. I wrote some articles about it. And there were many block producers that were operating in total anonymity, or not even operating nodes, maybe just collecting block rewards, because there's no system to audit these block producers to make sure they're even running a node on the network, So the compliance movement was around the idea of like, let's really find out who's running nodes and what kind of nodes are they running and who has websites that we can even access. And we discovered a huge amount of block producers. I think it was as high as like 40 or 50 of them that were getting paid at some point that had some compliance issues missing. Mm-hmm. And by the time we were done with our audits and our reach out and our letters, and it took more than just shEOS. Ross from EOS Sphere and Tal from Liquid EOS, and I think EOS New York and a bunch of different block producers helped out with reaching out. EOS Cafe also, and EOS Nation, with reaching out to people, getting them onboarded, getting contact information from them so that we could be in touch with them if there's an issue. And by the end of this whole couple month saga, I think we were at like over 99% of the block producers were in compliance at that time. And that even included some exchanges, who were operating block producer nodes that weren't following the guidelines of the agreement that they signed. Mm-hmm. And I think in the future we'll see we'll see more of this. I really do, because I think that there's a certain level of responsibility in being a block producer that we owe to the token holders.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is, not just agreeing to the standards and being able to operate at a standard, but always looking to raise the bar in the services that we're providing. And at shEOS, that's definitely something that we strive for. I mean, even though we've been operating at a loss for months, and luckily we have enough founding capital from the shEOS founders to operate at a loss for years, we're going to buy new servers because we're doing what we think is best for EOS. And we're thinking long term. And we're buying all new bare metal servers, which we already run bare metal servers, but due to a deeper understanding of the requirements for running things like a history node, we want to be able to provide that service to EOS. And the history API, which provides a history to query the data of transactions on the chain, require you to have pretty fast and fast servers with a lot of RAM. And that's why we're upgrading, so we can provide even better infrastructure to EOS. And what we're hoping is that token holders notice this and decide to vote for us more based on providing better technical support to the network.
Yeah. Are you planning to provide a full history node or a light history node? All right.
We already provide a light history node now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a lot of promotion and onboarding of other block producers to the light history node that Greymass built. And shout out to Greymass, Justa, and NEX for providing that, because it's so awesome to be able to contribute to such a large portion of the API traffic. This should not fall on any one block producer's shoulders. Mm-hmm. And there's been some block producers who downplay the importance of history nodes to the network, but we want to make EOS as easy to build on as possible.
Yeah.
Part of that is being able to build applications where you can query what happened a few minutes before reliably. And that's what a history node can enable. So it does enable that.
Well, that's big time. I know, I talked to Greymass, to Jesta, and when they, about a month ago, when they kind of were talking about the full history node and how few block producers were running it. And what was so cool to see was this community reaction of a lot of support for Greymass for one, but then a lot of block producers started popping up doing light history nodes, and now block producers like you are going full on and doing full history nodes coming up. So,
and there's a lot of good work going to full history nodes. I mean, Igor from EOS Rio has built a system for version 2 API that uses a lot less resources and provides the same level as the deprecated history plugin. So really looking forward to running that.
Cool.
Well. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, kudos to you. I didn't know that your team was buying new servers and that you were already running bare metal also. So that's fantastic. The team does so much. A lot of these block producers, actually, I find when I do these interviews and start talking to block producers, and I find out how much they're doing. It's like, it's really cool. That's why it's important for me to talk to people about their block producers, because it's hard to get the word out about how much teams are actually doing. And a team like shEOS is a good example, who deserves to be higher in the ranking, with the EOS 21 protocol, with running bare metal, history node coming up. So let's get into the next little thing. There we go. That was,
there you go.
And you've got a fantastic green screen.
Earlier, man, but
yeah. Speaking to the tech savviness of your team, you're one of the few that I've seen that has a green screen that you don't have like a glowing halo behind you. So clearly you've got it together technically.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we have a little video studio here that we try to really, take things seriously, and we take everything we do seriously. So
yeah, it's killer.
Thank you.
So I've got the BP emergency response system. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the emergency response system was it came out of a pre-launch survey that Thomas Cox did, where he essentially was just asking block producers, what will you do if you need to reach another block producer? How will you know that they're actually the person involved with that block producer? And what if you get a message from someone who says they're another block producer and tells you to do this or that, upgrade your software to this, or and it really made us think about how can we verify the identity of people who are involved in other block producers. And we came up with a system using Keybase. And this wasn't developed just with shEOS, but we were leading the charge on reaching out to people, getting their contact information, verifying it in a spreadsheet that is locked, that we only share access to with people who are verified contacts that belong to block producers, and getting everyone in a Keybase group with their verified identities so we could deal with security issues, so we can deal with network issues and work together to get them resolved when we needed to. And there have been several times that we've needed to do something like emergency patching to keep the network going. The network's already gotten much more stable now, but in the early days, there were a lot of great opportunities to use the contact system. And even now, people still use it to reach out to block producers who, for instance, are missing many blocks in a row. It was just like yesterday that another block producer, Start EOS, missed 12 rounds in a row and wasn't reachable. And people were in the emergency contact system trying to find them in the top BPs channels and stuff. So,
yeah, well, that's another cool little service offered by shEOS. And the looks like one of your co-founders at shEOS is now advising with Emanate. Is that what I think Vivian joined the Emanate group?
Viv is a serious boss. I mean, first of all, she's so smart. She's actually very technical, and she's got the most technical questions out of all of the founders. She loves to really dig in and understand things, and she's also like world-renowned DJ. She travels the world DJing.
No way.
She's deeply involved in music, so I think Emanate is something I haven't discussed with her. Actually, I'm learning that she's working with Emanate from you right now, but that I'm sure is really near and dear to her because she's so passionate about music, and Emanate is a music platform.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I got the chance to talk to Emanate a few months ago, and it's such a cool platform, such a cool idea. Now it's actually, I think that they may be on. Well, I'm not sure actually, but there's test alpha versions out there. But they are starting with the kind of the DJ and the electronic music community. So that makes sense why she might be over there. That's kind of their niche. The European electronic music community is where they're getting the toehold in.
Yeah, I think that's cool, man. I really like those guys. I respect those guys a lot, and they're doing a lot of cool stuff. When I first met them here in LA, it was at like a house party where someone had invited them, and I was immediately just super impressed with their team and what they were working on. Yeah.
Killer. So as we start to wind down here, I'd like to know a little, well, actually first, before I ask about EOS Alliance, is there anything that we kind of glossed over as far as shEOS goes, anything that's happening or in the future that you'd like to touch on?
I guess I'd just like to give a shout out to Autumn and Wanyun, who are our community managers, because they do such a great job at communicating with me and the rest of the team, and just are so dedicated to the project. So thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, it's you guys have a great team. I got a chance to meet some of your team at Scaling Blockchain and in San Francisco, and I was a mentor at the EOS Hackathon in San Francisco, so I've got to meet some of the shEOS team there. Yeah, everyone on the team is fantastic that I met, so it's cool. So I wanted to ask about EOS Alliance, a little bit where that's at, kind of, and what's going on with that.
Yeah, where's the EOS Alliance at? I would expect to see some more updates soon. The current, the plan is for EOS Alliance is to change what we're doing, and I'm not on the board of the Alliance. I'm just on the steering group, and it became clear that the Alliance really had an important role to provide to the ecosystem. after launch, when it was clear that Block One didn't want to be the source of attention in regards to the mainnet,
Mm-hmm.
and they're more the source of information for EOS software. And the EOS Alliance started off as an idea of like, well, we need a place where we can focus the attention and energy and really have like promotion and media and code review and management of the GitHub, like all these different things that we need for the mainnet, and then grew into how do we support all chains, and how do we have a nonprofit that supports EOS software and promotes it and gives all of the chains a place to gather together and serves all of the token holders. And it's been really evolving through many meetings and conversations that we've had with block producers, side chains, and all different members of the community to realize that what it really needs to be is a DAO, and to do a DAO on EOS where it provides people the ability to vote on how the funds that are raised are spent. So the DAO will essentially govern the nonprofit entity. And I think that it's going to be a really cool, really revolutionary way of approaching nonprofits. So we're really excited about it.
That's killer. I think we talked about that really early in the show, but that the idea of using DAOs with nonprofits is such a cool idea. Have you worked with Luke Stokes at all? And because I know they do the EOS DAO.
I know Luke just moved to Puerto Rico, and so I'll probably see him on my next trip down there to visit Brock sometime. But I'm really looking forward to hanging out with you, Luke, and getting to know you. I was so impressed and inspired with Luke when I read his Proxy page. Mm-hmm. I just immediately loved how real he was, how he talked about himself and his family and what he believed in and why he was doing what he does. And I just think all around that, him and Michael Yates are two people I really have a lot of respect for in EOS and the work that they've done with DAC. So I'm excited to see, what their plans are for the DAO.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite kind of thought leaders. He wouldn't consider himself a thought leader, but he's a thought leader that I always look to, and I'm reading his tweets and reading his papers, and just just such a unique mind he has. He's so intelligent. He's one of my favorite people to learn from for sure. So and that decentralized DAOs and DACs and that whole system is so revolutionary. It's such a game changer, and it's just such a big idea too. Looking into how it all works, it's okay, this is really amazing. It's going to take a lot of iteration. So I love hearing about and seeing people push that forward. So killer. Well, we are quickly or slowly, I don't know, we're winding down the show here, coming to the end. We've talked about Sense.Chat, which is just going to be awesome. I'm stoked about that. We've talked about shEOS, we talked about the Alliance, everything that's going on. Is there any kind of closing thoughts, anything that you want to add as we wind down here?
Of course, people, if you're out there, token holders, vote for shEOS. Vote for the women of EOS. I'm so blessed to be able to support women. Women have done so much for me in my life, and so many of my successes are due to women, and so I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with shEOS, and it's been awesome. And the other thing is, download Sense.Chat. Get on Sense.Chat. I know it's very bare bones right now, but there's so much good coming, and you're going to want to be part of the platform from the beginning. When we open up channel creation, it's going to be a big advantage to people who are on the platform early, is what I'll say. So, get your friends on Sense.Chat, get on Sense.Chat, get your accounts, get set up, and get ready for the ride.
Fantastic. Well, Thanks for coming on the show, Ben. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to you, get to know you a little bit more, and hear how much shEOS is doing and how cool Sense.Chat is right now and what's going on there. On my end, my EOS podcast friends, I have the Mr. Happy Money Proxy. The Mr. Happy Money Proxy does vote for shEOS. I vote for block producers like shEOS. It's all about transparency, empowerment, building together, and that's shEOS is a great example of what I like to see in block producers. This is the EOS Podcast. It's also a podcast, not just a YouTube show where you get to see wonderful backgrounds like Ben has there, and you can also listen on a podcast. Oh, there's another one. Oh, the EOS token symbol. I love it. The original chestahedron, movie magic. So you can listen to the podcast and then you'll miss some of this movie magic, but check out the podcast too. And that is a wrap. So Ben, thanks for coming on, man. And cheers, my EOS friends.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks, Brendan.
Money is not the prime asset in life. Time is, and your time is just